You know, I watched Mueller today. You know what crossed my mind, Sean? He sounds quite feeble, and I'm quite serious about this. And I'll explain why that matters. So the question is, why did Mueller speak today? Why did Mueller speak today? I'm going to tell you why I think he spoke today, because the Democrats were unhappy with the report. And so they wanted Mueller to push the edge of the envelope on collusion, which today he tried to do. They wanted him to be more emphatic about the issue of obstruction, where he contradicts the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, which he did today. They have the narrative that they want, and that's why now Nadler really doesn't want to call him to testify. They have their narrative. Now, let me ask you a question. Why doesn't Mueller want to testify? The reason's simple. There's 1,001 questions to ask this man, from who he hired, why he hired them, why he ignored Hillary Clinton, the dossier, the real Russians. Here's a man today who said he's not going to pass judgment, I wrote this down, on the Russians who are indicted, their guilt or innocence. But he passes judgment on the President of the United States and his guilt and innocence. It is such a huge abomination. I think this whole thing was orchestrated. I think he didn't want to testify. I think Nadler said, give us some of the information we want in terms of propaganda. He gives them the propaganda. It's interesting. He says, I'm not going to answer the press, and I'm not going to talk to Congress. Is this the same guy who demanded that the President of the United States sit down for an interview on obstruction? I want to get into a few questions I have, Sean. I want to challenge some of Mueller's premises today, which is one of the reasons he doesn't want to be questioned. Did Mueller say he had evidence of a crime that met the probable cause standard but could not indict? He never says that. He doesn't say it today. It's not in his report. He doesn't say he has probable cause, ever. Number two, did he say we had to question the president about obstruction and therefore found others who had actually obstructed and charged them? No. Who are these other people? There aren't any other people because the president didn't obstruct. So no, nobody else who was not immune was charged with obstruction for trying to cover up this investigation. And then there's this. Why did Mueller leave it to the Attorney General to decide obstruction, rather than wait a couple of years and see if the president wins re-election, and if he doesn't, then indict him in 2020? Notice he didn't do that. The answer is, there were no crimes, he had no case, there was no probable cause, and yet by Mueller writing Volume 2 and giving his little spiel today, and he was very feeble, and I'm serious about this. This is not a man who would do well under 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of questioning, with Republicans honing in on so many issues. So the question is, why did he do this today? Why did he do this today? Listen to the Democrats today. They're thrilled with this man. They were not thrilled with him yesterday. They're thrilled with him today because they think, and they're wrong, that he delivered them new information. The problem with the media is this. I just went through some basic lawyering. Does he mention that he could have charged because he had probable cause? No, he didn't. Who are these other people who obstructed justice that they were interested in with the president? There weren't any. There wasn't any. Why didn't he wait a couple of years? What's he in a hurry for now? Nobody bothers him. He's noble. He's better than everybody else. Rather than toss it to the Attorney General. Why didn't he wait a few years? Well, because he didn't have anything. I want to remind Mr. Mueller of something that a first-year law student knows. The Fifth Amendment, it's called due process. The Sixth Amendment, it's called a right to a jury trial. The Fifth, Sixth, and 14th Amendments, presumption of innocence. You burned every one of those amendments, Mr. Mueller, just because you can't indict a sitting president. I heard somebody say, sure, he can indict a sitting president. It's just that the Attorney General can reverse course. That's not what the memos say. It says you cannot indict a sitting president. I was explaining this from day one. That's why I never understood this obstruction investigation. I never understood the appointment of a special counsel where you don't have any predicate crime. This whole damn thing has been a setup against this president, and it's still Republicans. You drag this man in front of the House Judiciary Committee if you can. You demand it every time, and you question him. Lindsey Graham, you're chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. You get him in front of your committee, and you question him, and you ask him the questions. Who's behind this report? Why did he write this report? Has he been communicating with the Democrats on Capitol Hill? Who have they leaked to, if they've leaked to anybody else? You ask for documents. You ask for emails. You give Mueller the Trump treatment, and let's see how that ends.